So this is how to create a quiz with some of the drag and drop features developed at the Open University in England. So firstly, in my course I turn editing on, add an activity, and in this case I'm going to add a standard Moodle quiz. Give my quiz a simple name, so at this stage we're studying weather, make it weather quiz. Large number of options that I have here. Attempts allowed, I just give them 2 chances to get it. I can shuffle the questions if I wish. In this case I want all the questions on one page because I'm only going to do 3 specific types of question. And then nothing else that I want to change just at the moment, so I'll just scroll down and click on Save and Display. Now I can click on Edit Quiz and it will give me a whole bunch of questions from other quizzes I've created. At this stage I'm going to go into my default weather quiz, which will have no questions in it. When I wish to create a new question, these are the new options. Drag and drop into text, onto markers and onto image. At this stage I'm just going to drag and drop onto image for my first one. As always, I give it a simple question name to allow me when I'm searching through my questions. And in this case I'm going to do clouds, so I'll just go clouds. Question text tells the students what to do. Place the correct cloud type by the image. Default mark, I'll leave for the moment. I've got a few pictures here, so we'll make it 9. And then I have this preview area with nothing in it at the moment, so I have to choose a file. I'm just going to upload an image that I've already created. A bunch of clouds, give it a name, so if I need to find it later I can, and upload that picture, which will now show up in the preview window. Now under draggable items I've added cirrus, and you'll see now that it appears up here, so I can simply drag that onto the image where I would like to. And then further down the page, as I go in and change that from draggable image to draggable text, I can then fill all those in with my different types of cloud. Once I've filled in all these second boxes, you'll see them all starting to appear there as we go through, and I'll just make them all draggable to begin with. The drop zones fill themselves in as I drag and drop them onto the image. So now I'm going to put cirrus just above that cirrus picture, and then go through and do the same with all of these, just to label my image. So I'm finished, click Save, add it into my quiz, and now I'm going to create another question. And this time I'm going to create a drag and drop into text. This is probably the easiest of the 3 to do. And in this case I'm just going to call it weather terms. And as you can see here, there's the choices down the bottom, the text goes in here. If I'm ever unsure, I can click on the little question mark and it actually tells me what to do. So types of question text like the 1 jumped over the 2, and then you'd put the 1 and the 2 in the choice 1 and 2 boxes down below. So in this case, rather than doing that, I'm just going to put in some basic text that I have. And then just simply terms that students are going to have to match up. So here I've got that basic text and I've just filled it in with some alternatives. And 6 basic choices. And then I can scroll down and click Save Changes. And this time, once I add that to my quiz, now I didn't actually change the grades it's worth, and I know that there were 6 questions, so I just changed grade to 6. Click Save and Continue. Now I'm going to add another question, and this is the most tricky of these really, where you have to sort of work it out a little bit. It's going to be drag and drop markers. That's very handy for dealing with maps or many other things you might use, especially in social sciences. In this case, I'm going to do a synoptic chart. Default mark. Placing the markers on the map in the correct spot. Now again, I have to find an image file. So in this case, again, I've got something saved earlier, synoptic chart. Give it a name and upload the file. Now you'll see that image. So just very quickly, down here we've got 2 areas. We have the markers and the drop zone. So basically we type in the markers fields what we want to find, and then we select it above. So in this case, my first marker will be low pressure. I'll just simplify that down to low, and then high, so on. And then on the side here by marker, they then appear, so I can choose isobar through to Tasmania. Then in this box here, I've got drop zones, and it says circle. You can see the words at the top there. I now actually have to go and type in these boxes the coordinates I'd like that to show, and this is comma and then colon. The first number is specifically x-axis, then y-axis, and then as long as I've got a colon here, is the size of my circle. So I can simply go through and basically fill that in. You can see the low is now moved down the page. If I want that to appear where my low actually is, I can pretty quickly guess that it's sort of at the 200, probably 180 mark on the page. And then by adding 50 on the end of all of them, I've increased the size of my circles, which means that when the students go to place them, they've got a reasonable margin of error, depending on how good I want to be with that. I should quickly change my default mark to 6 because there's 6 questions, and then scroll down to Save Changes. Now if I quickly add that into my quiz and go back out to my main page of my course, as my students would see, I go weather quiz, and I can now continue a bit of an attempt and see what it actually looks like. So here they've got to go through, simply drag and drop each of the correct places, and you see it automatically sort of fits them in as they should go. Now again, this comes into my quiz organization. If I want to have it shuffle everything around every time I can to make it a little bit more tricky, but generally it's quite simple. Again, this can shuffle around the words. In this case, they're nicely placed in order for me to be able to do it reasonably quickly. And finally, with these, remembering that I made sort of 50, so they're quite large margins of error. And I can then submit my quiz and give me some feedback and say that I got 100%.